Coming up on Broncos Weekend. With the Broncos heading east to face the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday afternoon, can Denver's aerial attack bounce back up against one of the league's weakest pass defenses? How can Denver's D contain Lamar Jackson both on the ground and through the air? And what are some of the key matchups that could have the biggest impact on the outcome of this game? We'll discuss all that and much more right now on Broncos Weekend. Thanks for joining us for the Week 13 edition of Broncos Weekend, everyone. I'm Alexis Perry. To my left, the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Broncos offensive lineman Big O, here to help you get up to speed on the Broncos' upcoming matchup with the Baltimore Ravens. Big O, I saw you make that face. Are you checking out that gold jacket?
Absolutely. I think this might have been the first time I've seen it this year up close and in person.
Oh, no, you've seen it more times.
In pictures.
Oh,
pictures.
No.
Not right beside me.
Well, Broncos country's a little bit upset right now. I'm hoping to bring some good luck with this gold jacket.
I think it is the lucky gold jacket. Thanks for wearing it, Steve. We will get into some of the film and, of course, some of the key matchups to keep your eye on here in just a little bit. But first, as we set the scene, both teams are coming off tough losses. The Broncos fell by their largest margin of the season to the Panthers, while the Ravens relinquished yet another fourth-quarter lead, most recently to the Jags. Guys, this week the Broncos will look to get all three phases back on track after missed opportunities and unacceptable mistakes were made throughout all four quarters. So what really concerns you guys the most about that loss to the Panthers, and what steps do you hope to see this team make this week in order to, like I said, get back on track?
Well, the thing that's, I think, most disappointing to me is that the offense still isn't clicking. You know, the last three games, we've only averaged 12 points a game, and they still haven't gotten together. I thought at the beginning of the season, 4 or 5 games, we kind of hit a nice little stride there, but we never did. And then defensively, here's the last 3 games. Well, 3 out of the last 4 games, we've allowed a 100-yard rusher, and we got to get that back on track to where teams don't feel as confident running the ball against us.
Yeah, so for me, just along the same lines as what Steve's saying, you know, it's been disappointing this year because through 11 games, I still don't understand the identity of this team. I just want them to pick an identity and stick with it. If you're going to run the football, that's what we're going to do. If you're going to go to the short, quick passing game, that's what we're going to do. I just want to see this football team identify an identity and roll with it. Unfortunately, the Broncos have become that get-right team. Each and every team comes in here and they get right. We saw a couple weeks ago against Tennessee. Tennessee didn't average a lot of throwing yards, under 150. Against the Broncos, they went for 250. The following week, they go for 330 and beat the Green Bay Packers. 2 weeks ago, Las Vegas Raiders, not doing well. They go against the Broncos, they have a 100-yard rusher, and then they have a 100-yard passer. And then the following week, they beat the Seattle Seahawks, right? We just saw what happened with Carolina, a football team that hadn't been able to score a single touchdown all season in the first quarter, and they do it against the Broncos. Not only do they do it against the Broncos, but they beat the Broncos convincingly. So for me, I'm not worried about the points. I just want to understand the identity. Who are we? Are we going to be the bully, or are we going to continue to get bullied?
All right, well, like I mentioned, the Ravens ran into a fourth-quarter buzzsaw in Jacksonville on Sunday. The Jags put up 18 points in the final 15 minutes. You guys, what were some of the Ravens' weaknesses that Trevor Lawrence and the Jags really exposed, and how do you think the Broncos can exploit those this weekend?
Well, I saw they were playing quite a bit of zone defense. Some of the linebackers didn't get enough depth. But I got to give the Jaguars credit, though. Trevor Lawrence, he was throwing accurate passes, and the receivers, they were making the catches when they needed to make them. Yeah. And I think that was the biggest difference between them and what we've been doing. In many instances, we haven't been able to get the pass off, or the pass wasn't in the right place, or our receiver doesn't make the catch. We got to make the plays when we have the opportunity to do it.
They were able to build confidence early, right? That's what football's all about. So although Jacksonville got down and had to score a lot of points in the fourth quarter, they still had that confidence because the quick passing game was working, the play action was working. They just weren't finishing through the first 3 quarters. So now when they get to the fourth quarter, they're able to already know that, hey, we have the confidence, but also we're going against one of the worst pass defenses in the National Football League. Yeah. So we're able to expose it. Confidence is everything. And right now, that's what the Broncos lack. So let's create some ways to get the ball in some of these young playmakers' hands so we could build that confidence and be in it at the end of the game and see if we could go win one football game this week.
Yeah, well, it's safe to say that Lamar Jackson is not one of their weaknesses. Like Coach Hackett said this week, he is a dynamic player. He leads their team rushing with 755 yards on the ground this season. So what do you guys see as the best defensive approach to containing Lamar Jackson?
Well, it's so difficult because he's a dual threat. You know, when we played him last year, we said, oh, keep him in the pocket, keep him in the pocket. Well, guess what he did? He killed us from the pocket.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we have to somehow get pressure with 4 and keep guys back in the secondary because he's such an accurate passer too. So, but we haven't been able to do that so far this year as much, get pressure with 4. So I don't know if that will happen. I think Broncos going to have their hands full this week.
Yeah, so for me, the game plan should be some of that big nickel stuff that we talked about and we saw against the Tennessee Titans. Let's get Justin Sternad a little bit more involved because he's sideline to sideline, more covered linebacker, but let's get him to spy on Lamar Jackson. But now you're going to have to pick and choose at times where you have that P dropper, that defensive tackle that could drop out, and you might have to go to your NASCAR package where there's not a lot of run support where the big fellows are in between the tackles, where you're going with some more outside linebackers to be able to chase down a guy like Lamar Jackson.
You say Justin Sternad covered Lamar Jackson?
No. Justin Sternad, as far
spy?
As that spy, right? Hey, listen, you got to do something, right? Right now, we're down. K'Wan Williams would be my guy, that run support guy that could show up in the run support game, right? So you have to get creative. And
who would be your guy, Steve?
I would say
is there a guy?
I would say a DB, a defensive back. We couldn't do Damari Mathis. He would be the first choice, but he's out on the outside right now. Maybe Essang Bassi.
Your guy. That's why you looked at me crazy. Your guy. That's why.
He just wanted to say Bassi's name, and he got it in first block.
Yeah. No.
Or PJ Locke.
Yeah. I don't care who it is, right? At the end of the day, it just needs to be somebody, right? In those situations where Lamar will expose a team, leading his team with 755 yards rushing, he's not afraid to do it. And he will do it over and over and over again until you stop him. The reason why I suggested Justin Sternad, Noah, is a little bit bigger of a body, right? I want to discourage Lamar Jackson from running the ball. I don't know what P.J. Locke's bringing. I don't know what your guy's bringing. He ain't bringing what old 27 brought back in the day. Why he got that gold jacket.
But the thing is, Lamar Jackson, he's not trying to run guys over. When guys get near, he's going down.
Yep.
So I would say one of the smaller, faster guys, just because Lamar Jackson, he'll make you look crazy.
Okay.
Well, coming up on the other side of the break, Steve and Big O will break down a couple of plays from the Broncos and Ravens' most recent losses. Don't go anywhere.
With a one-handed catch.
His confidence came in his work.
There's always the small details, the route running, the blocking.
He had a little bit of everything. Size, speed, athleticism.
Demaryius Thomas on a laser throw.
He could do just about anything on the football field.
I don't know too many receivers, even in the hall, that was doing what he was doing.
He wasn't going to trash talk you. He just show up quietly and just really just beat your ass.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend, everyone. Time for some X's and O's with Steve Atwater and Big O, as we point out a positive play from Sunday that the Broncos can build off of, and one of Lamar Jackson's go-to plays to his favorite target that this Denver defense will absolutely need to be ready for. So let's start with the Broncos. This was their final offensive play of the first quarter in Carolina. It's 2nd and 3, and they pick up the first down with an 11-yard run by Latavius Murray. Now, Steve, this was not Latavius' biggest run of the day, but what do you think that they should take away from this play?
Well, I think they could take away from it that they can execute at a high level. Almost everybody got their blocks. I think Dalton Risner was the only one who kind of got a little off his block, but Greg Dulcich helped him out there. Everyone else executed very well. The timing was perfect, and Latavius Murray really took a nice cut. He sold it to the outside, made one of the linebackers get a little wide, go a little wide, to make it easier for Cam Fleming to make his block. Then he cut up in there and got vertical and got some great yardage on it. I really like the execution on that play. They should have confidence that if we can do this, we can win some football games.
Yeah, Big O, what could more execution like this do for this Broncos offense?
It could be tremendous. And, I'm so happy that we're talking about this play because as you guys are watching it at home, look at it. It takes all 11.
Yep.
Look at the play fake by Russell Wilson on this play. He's able to hold the backside safety. Yes, it was an 11-yard gain, but if Russell Wilson doesn't do that, it might be a 7-yard gain because that safety is going to be able to show faster. So just by Russell carrying out his fake now, he's able to hold that backside safety, and he doesn't show up where now Latavius Murray could deliver the body blow hit. So I love when you get examples like this to show the team, to say, hey, you know what? When we get a hat on a hat and we're playing all together and everybody is right and everybody's doing their job and playing throughout the whistle, great things could happen. But this play for me, the best thing about it, it shows you why football's the ultimate team sport, because all 11 guys have to be right in order for you to pick up 11 yards right there.
Even the receivers had to
get
body on body.
Yes, well, like I mentioned a little bit ago, Lamar Jackson's go-to target is his 2-time Pro Bowl tight end, Mark Andrews. And guys, it really isn't even close. Andrews has just over 600 yards receiving this season. Devin Duvernay has the second most with 344. So we know that Jackson will be looking for Andrews on Sunday. Steve, on the first play of the day against the Jags, Jackson, he went deep 25 yards here to Mark Andrews. What can the Broncos learn from this play as far as what it will take to limit Andrews' impact this Sunday?
Well, if you don't make defending Mark Andrews a priority and he's running all through all over the field uncovered, is something wrong. You know, he's his favorite target. He's got great hands. They have a great connection. And as you can see, he's kind of difficult to bring down, too. He's a pretty big guy. On this particular play, they had 21 or 12. I'm not sure what you consider the big fullback. What's his name?
Patrick
Richard. Yes. He's a huge guy. I'm not sure if he's a tight end or fullback, 12 or 21 personnel.
He's just a big body.
He's a big man.
He's an extra offensive lineman.
Yes.
300 pounds.
And it's amazing because, you know, you're thinking, hey, you got him in there. You got Mark Andrews in there. It's probably going to be a run play, but they line Richard out wide, bring him in motion, and everybody's thinking run. And so the linebacker bites up and doesn't get enough depth, and Mark Andrews just comes right off the ball and gets into that open area. And you got to know, as a defensive player, if Mark Andrews is running, he's not trying to block somebody, it's probably a pass.
Yeah, good
Simple.
point.
For me, you know, this is his favorite target, right? He wants to go to Mark Andrews. He looks for him on every single play. So this week, let's hit him. Let's not back up 10 yards. Let's not allow him that clean release onto the line of scrimmage. Let's get up in his grill. Let's hit him. Let's make it difficult. What also Mark Andrews does a great job of doing is settling and understanding that Lamar will get to him when he recognizes that it's zone. So if you're a DB and a linebacker, you better pay attention to where he's at every single play. But when you do get those opportunities to play a press coverage, when you might be in cover two, let's hit him and not allow him to get a clean release off the line of scrimmage, because that will screw up the quarterback's timing aspect of it as far as him trying to get the ball to Lamar Jackson trying to get the ball to Mark Andrews.
I love those body blows, man.
Body blows.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's a great strategy, because most tight ends don't get jammed at the line of scrimmage, because, you know, cornerbacks are the ones that normally practice that. Safeties don't normally practice jamming, but safeties and linebackers are the only ones who are kind of big enough to go up against those tight ends like that.
All right, well, there is no doubt that Mark Andrews is the key to the Ravens' offensive attack through the air. But still to come here on Broncos Weekend, we will touch on some of the other important matchups that you will want to keep a close eye on this week. Don't go anywhere.
I believe DT would give his last dollar to somebody who needed it. Always willing to help, wanting to take care of people, looking out for people, loving people.
He loved kids, and he loved to give back. DT genuinely wanted me to be the best Von Miller I could possibly be on and off the football field.
No matter what you put in front of him or what you threw his way, what he had already been through was the hardest thing he ever been through, so everything else didn't even matter.
I appreciate everything he did. His presence was magnificent to me.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend, everyone. I'm Alexis Perry alongside Steve Atwater and Big O. Guys, we have already touched on Lamar Jackson on the ground and Mark Andrews through the air as a couple of key players in this matchup this week, but we have to add a couple of other guys into the conversation as these teams go head-to-head on Sunday. So let's go ahead and start with the Broncos offense and specifically the run game. Last week, Broncos running back Latavius Murray got his first start as a Bronco and picked up 92 yards on 13 carries. This week, the Ravens leading tackler Patrick Queen will hope to slow him down. So guys, what were your impressions of Latavius Murray in this starting role, and what challenges does Patrick Queen create for him this week?
Well, he looked really comfortable back there. He looked like he belongs there. He looked like he had a good grasp of the plays, and he hit that hole. That's the biggest thing I like to see with running backs, their ability to plant and get north and south, and he does that extremely well. Patrick Queen on the other side of the ball, I really liked him coming out of college. He went to LSU.
You were a huge fan of him coming out
Huge
of college.
Patrick Queen fan. Obviously, I won't be rooting for him this week. I'm hoping Latavius Murray will be able to truck him a couple of times, but I think it's going to be a good battle between those two.
Yeah, it's not only Patrick Queen, it's also Roquan, right?
Yes.
So this is the game that you got to hand the ball off to Latavius Murray. Let's not mess around. Hey, Mike Boone, let's get you a couple reps. Hey, you know what, Montreal, Washington, we're going to get you a sweep. No, let's go downhill. Let's allow Latavius Murray to build upon what he did last week. First outing as a starter, all of a sudden now we get the first rush over 20 yards this season, right? When he rips off that 52. We talked earlier in the show about that 11 yards. This team blocks for Latavius Murray because they know that he's not going down when the first person tries to tackle him. So this team looks and it feels differently when he's out there. So let's continue to give him the ball. Only 13 carries last week.
You want to see that, what?
20 this week.
20, there we
20,
go.
23?
Yeah.
Yep. Knew you were going to say that. Okay, as far as pass catchers go, you guys, the game statuses for Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler still up in the air as of the taping of this show. So this really would be a great week for Courtland Sutton to just go off. Courtland, he was quietly the Broncos' leading receiver last week against Carolina. He had 6 catches for 75 yards. This week, he's obviously going up against Brandon Stevens, who's coming off really a pretty tough game against Jacksonville. So who do you guys think has the edge, Sutton or Stevens?
Well, I would definitely say Courtland Sutton. Is ironic, they both went to SMU, both SMU grads, so it'll be a good competition there. But I think from watching the tape on Brandon Stevens and seeing just his progression, he has played some safety. He was covering tight ends quite a bit last year. So I think it's quite a big adjustment to go from covering tight ends to going out there and covering, some of the best wide receivers in the game right now. And Courtland Sutton should have a big game. I'm looking for him to feast this week, going up against one of his fellow alumni from SMU, but also because I think Courtland just has a physical advantage here.
What does feasting look like?
Dominant performance. Get mad, get angry. I want to see Courtland go out there and just absolutely lose his mind.
Like, what's that stat line?
112 yards on 6 catches.
Okay.
And just absolutely taking it to him. Courtland should be a little pissed off as well because J.C. Horn this past week and the penalty on the sideline and then the 50-50 ball that was in the end zone. He's been held out the end zone a lot this year. And the young guys have started to step up. We saw Brandon Johnson. We saw Jalen Virgil. These young guys have been, getting that shine. Courtland, let's go be angry. Brandon Stevens is coming off of a bad game against Jacksonville. Let's pour it on. Keep pouring gasoline on that fire and just get after him.
Get him.
Like, Courtland, you're 6'4", 220 pounds.
Dominant.
Just make up your mind that this guy, no matter what, where he's at on the field, if it's a run or a pass, I'm going to dominate this guy. And if you do that, I promise you it's going to become contagious. And the other 10 guys on the football field, they're going to start doing it. And that's how you turn this thing around.
Yep.
Okay, as other offensive playmakers go for the Ravens, running back Gus Edwards, he will look to pound the rock this week, of course. And like we talked about earlier, their ginormous 300-pound defensive linemen turned fullback / tight end. You guys, Patrick Ricard, this guy is massive. How do you account for somebody like this?
Well, you got to account for him. And when he goes in the game, everybody's thinking, oh, my goodness, we got to hit this big old offensive lineman that's in the backfield.
I don't want to get hit by this guy.
But the crazy thing is, he's only had 5 rushes for 10 yards. He's had more passes thrown to him than runs. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that fullback screen.
Team, don't listen to this because I guarantee you they're going to they'll probably hand it to him 10 times this game.
Right, seriously.
If I'm a linebacker, I am cutting him in the tackle box. Oh, you guys want to line up in the I formation and have this 300-pounder run straight at me? No, the first play I'm going to cut you. So now you got to think about it for the rest of the game. So those big guys, I was a big guy. I don't like guys nowhere near their knees. So when you want to lead block, that's how you slow them down. That first time, chop them down. Straight up, as long as it's in the tackle box, that's legal still in the National Football League. So that would be my game plan at the linebacker position because you don't want them to build that confidence. We know they're not going to hand them. Well, Steve thinks because he might be that jinxie cat. So Steve's saying that they might hand the ball off to him a lot this week. But typically they don't do that. And when he's in there, he's either in there to go out and block for the run or go out for a pass.
Right.
So if they try to run in between the tackles, no, big fella, I'm going to cut you right down and make you think every single time that you have to come block me moving forward, that I might do that again to you.
So hopefully Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell just listen to that part of the show, not the part before.
Right.
Okay, he's just a little stitious, right? Just a little stitious. Okay, guys, the Broncos obviously have dropped 7 of their last 8 games, so a win this week would be massive for this team. What is the number one key to victory?
The number one key to victory, I would say defense getting back on track, stopping the run, not giving up any 100-yard rushers. And on the offensive side, I would say we got to get back on the same page. Get on the same page. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet this year. I thought it would be week 5 when we got on the same page. It's week 13. We haven't done it. Let's do it. Don't let me down.
I like it. This is one of the worst pass defenses in the National Football League, right?
Yep.
So for me, Russell has clearly struggled. The run game has struggled all year. This is the first and last time I promise you guys will ever hear me say this. We got to go to the quick passing game. We got to get that going. We got to get Russ back out there, 3-step drop, allow this offensive line to cut guys, allow them to be physical and take the fight to this Ravens defensive line. You don't want Calais Campbell with every bit of his 6'8" body frame, being able to bat down balls. You don't want Justin Houston coming off the edge. Those are the 2 leading guys with sacks. You got to worry about them and worry about how long you can hold up against those guys. So Russell Wilson, let's get Jalen Virgil and Brandon Johnson and Cortland Sutton. Let's get them involved early in the game with the quick passing game. So slants, curls, outs, things like that where you're able to get them the football and allow them to go make the play for you. Let's stop relying so much on Russell Wilson. Let's start putting some of the weight on the other 10 guys that are out there on the field and let Russ make quick decisions at the line of scrimmage to get this thing going. And then when you do that now and they have to start committing more to the passing game, that's when you start pounding the football and let Latavius Murray do his thing. Let's take some of the pressure off of our quarterback. It's been a long season. A lot of blame has been pointed at him. Some of it's right, some of it's not. But it takes all 11 in order to win a game. It takes all 11 in order to be successful. So let's give these young guys opportunities to come up big for Broncos country.
Love the analysis today, guys. Really appreciate it. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for Broncos Weekend, but be sure to tune in to CBS this Sunday at 11 a.m. locally for Broncos and Ravens from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Then meet me right back here Tuesday for the full game recap on Broncos A to Z. For Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin, I'm Alexis Perry. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next week.